Malema under the Firearms Control Act. He was facing charges which include the unlawful possession of a firearm as well as ammunition. The case relates to a 2018 rally in Mdantsane where he allegedly fired shots into the air in close proximity to thousands of supporters. While Malema has been convicted, his bodyguard Adrian Snyman has been acquitted of all charges. Malema has rejected the verdict, insisting that the court's decision is flawed.
And as we move forward, we are going to reinforce that legal team. We'll bring Advocate Mugai Toby as we go into the appeal and strengthen our case, because it is now beyond all of us. We need to strengthen our team and confront the system, and you need lawyers who are not scared.
Malema is expected back in court in January next year for sentencing. We'll shift our focus to this now. Some family members of late former South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, have expressed unhappiness over how they were informed of his passing. Mthethwa, a former police minister in the country, was found dead in a hotel in Paris yesterday. The family says they are still stunned by the news of his passing and are concerned that no formal communication was sent to them about the incident. His uncle, Musawukphila Mthethwa, says they were not communicated with properly.
We were supposed to be informed about it first so that we can properly arrange ourselves.
Another uncle, Elias Mthethwa, says the way in which they found out about their son's passing was sad.
We are not happy about this matter. It broke our hearts as we heard in the news. By the time we got home, we saw that this is now all over the news, while we as the family were not yet informed.
National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has assured South Africans that crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo is in good spirits and receiving medical attention. Khumalo was meant to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning to continue with his testimony, but he left the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria just after 9 o'clock after he started feeling unwell. The commission is probing alleged infiltration of the criminal justice system by criminal syndicates. National Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate.
General Masemola is in contact with the senior officer and confirms that he is in good spirits and taking health advice from his physician. The General's health is receiving priority and the Madlanga Commission will be kept abreast of all developments pertaining to his condition, as well as when he will be available to continue with his testimony.
Let's move to the Western Cape now, where there has been another report of taxi-related violence in Cape Town, with a taxi driver shot and killed in Valhalla Park. The shooting happened just after 5 this morning. 3 women who were inside the vehicle at the time were taken to a nearby hospital for medical care. The police's Frederick van Wyk.
Bishop Lavis Police registered a murder and a robbery with a firearm case following a shooting incident at Robert Sabuke Drive near Valhalla Drive in Valhalla Park. The deceased, a taxi driver who sustained a gunshot wound to his head, is currently unknown.
The latest shooting comes as the provincial government continues to monitor routes that have been closed from Fuleni and Khayelitsha to Somerset West due to ongoing taxi violence. And rescuers have pulled a survivor from the rubble of a collapsed school in Indonesia. The National Disaster and Mitigation Agency said around 91 people were believed to still be trapped under the ruins this morning. Part of the multi-story school caved in on the island of Java as students gathered for afternoon prayers. It's reported an unauthorized expansion of the building was ongoing at the time of the collapse. Gold is trading at $3,887.12 an ounce. The rand is at 17.19 to the dollar, 23.14 to the pound, 20.14 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $66.03 a barrel.
We still have slow-moving traffic. That's leaving Alex heading towards Midrand in the Calvin area, N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butler interchange. Also traveling into the Germiston CBD. There's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the M2 eastbound between the Galdenace interchange and Refinery Road.
Gauteng is partly cloudy this afternoon. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. EFF leader Julius Malema has announced his intention to appeal a court ruling which found him guilty of discharging a firearm in public.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. Such a pleasure to be in your company on this Wednesday, the 1st of October, a brand new month, the last quarter of the year. Let's do best. Let's make it count. We still can achieve some of the things that we've been wanting to for the remainder of 2025. Now, coming up in the show, I want to find out from all of you, especially because we have conversations often around financial literacy and talking about money in the household so that children start to get familiar with concepts of money. But what happens when it is too much? When does it become a burden on your child? So I want to hear from all of you. How did you navigate the space, if you did, when it comes to talking to your children about money? And for you, when you look back at how you grew up, do you constantly think, all I know is we never had money because I was always told we didn't have money. Oh, I just knew that we never had money to do X, Y, and Z. You get the people who have the language of saying, we didn't have money, but we always had stuff. And then you get the ones who are like, oh, all we ever knew was there was no money. I want to hear from you on that. Finance feature, we're talking navigating financial infidelity. If you're like, what is that? Make sure you tune in. Dedi Shabalala, independent financial advisor, educator, and speaker, joins us for that conversation. Then we wrap up in the second hour of the show with a masterclass. We're together with Standard Bank Private again, and we'll be exploring wealth through travel and experiences. We'll be joined by Michelle Munemo, head of CVP Private Banking at Standard Bank. So get in touch with us, 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We hear people encouraging us to speak to our children about money, that they should understand the concept of money early on. Now, what is that balance? At what point does it become harmful for children? And I want to hear from your experiences, especially now that you are an adult. Do you feel like the way money was spoken about in the home was too much? It was burdensome? Or do you feel like, nobody spoke about money, now I have zero concept of it? Or are you a parent who is being very intentional with how you're teaching your children about money? And what does that contribute to how you describe yourself? And I'm being very careful with this one because it's such a fine line. Parenting is navigating territory. Many of us are just winging it. I mean, even parenting experts are like, yo, half of the time. But what happens when you're trying to teach your child about money? And how far does it go? I want to get an understanding of how you grew up, how money was spoken about, and if you grew up with the idea that, we are so poor. We are so poor. Did you grow up with a thinking that, we're so poor to the point that it worried you as a child? Or was it kind of measured? I think the way that I grew up, we were extremely privileged, especially considering the times, because my parents worked really, really hard at that time for us to be where we were. Doesn't mean that we were not exposed to a non-privileged life. We were exposed to a non-privileged life, and we also knew what it meant to not have. But there was never a talk about there not being money to the point that I, as a child, was stressed about it. Ever. And obviously, parents' job is to teach you discipline. I doubt parents are going to say to their child, no matter how rich they are, that you're so rich, you're never going to have to work a day in your life, or anything you want, you can have. And what is the ideal scenario? Now, what led to this conversation, I'm going to play you a clip of a gentleman who was expressing what it did to him when his parents kept speaking about not having money. How it burdened him as a child. How he had to carry that painful responsibility of having to constantly worry. And it definitely is not the child's responsibility. And maybe there is a balance, because you also want your children, and share the ages that you think are appropriate or not appropriate. You also want your children to kind of be aware of what's going on, even though you want to shield them from the realities. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line, 072-702-1702. I want to hear from you. In the interim, take a listen to this.
Want to know the fastest way to make your kids grow up anxious, stingy, and hyper-independent? Tell them about your bills. Complain to them about your financial problems. It makes your kids feel like they're a burden. When you complain about money spent on them, they start thinking, I cost too much. I'm just in the way. I'm a burden. Instead of just being a kid, that's forcing them to carry adult stress way too early. Your kids shouldn't worry about rent, light bills, or groceries. That's your job. When you share that information, they feel guilty every time they have to ask for something. It builds toxic independence. Instead of learning healthy responsibility, they learn, I can't ask for help. It literally feels impossible for them to open their mouth and ask for help. I gotta do everything on my own. And that follows them into adulthood. It doesn't teach them financial literacy. It's the difference between teaching your kids how money works and dumping your stress on them. One builds wisdom, the other builds fear. Kids, remember how you made them feel. You think you're teaching them responsibility, but you're really teaching them shame. Keep your money stress with you. Don't pass it down. This is very serious. Some kids feel like they have nobody to rely on. They can't do anything, and they would rather end themselves than ask for help.
This is such a real situation, and thank you so much at DrefYTB on TikTok, speaking about that real damage of telling your children about your money problems. What is that fine line? How do you find that balance? Did you experience that growing up? Is it something you're mindful of? Or maybe you've noticed that the way you speak about money is impacting your child negatively, and feel free to be anonymous. And I think we can look at having on our parenting and parents feature a guest to come in and talk to us about what that fine line is. Because if you are going through a tough time, it's not like your child can't see. And maybe the challenge is finding that particular balance of informing the child if they need to know, right? Age appropriately, without burdening them and making them feel like it's their fault or they should be responsible. I mean, I'm even just wondering if there's language in the house which is like, yo, the school fees, and it's a continuous every month when school fees need to be paid. It is the stress that you vocalize in front of your child. What impact does that have on your child? We spoke the one time about homes where food was policed. The moment you have a second egg, yay, my atura, you know? What does that do to the mind of a child? And if you grew up in a home like this, I want to hear from you. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses, and coughs. It's time to live, work, play, and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetisid, Levogex, and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
The joy of what if we just let it go to voicemail. The joy of what if we skipped the flight for a front row seat to the open road. The joy of what if the wrong turn took us the right way. The joy of what if we didn't share this view and kept it our secret. The joy of what if not being there yet was the best part. Choose the joy of what if with BMW.
CIRA is reintroducing printed ink certificates, now available as a paid optional service. You can now request your printed certificate online and collect it at your nearest CIRA branch. This service is in response to industry requests. Remember, your digital certificate remains valid and you can view it online. For more information, please contact 08613333850 or info@cira.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
You confirmed you dropped your case against NERSA that was to try and stop the licensing of 4 electricity trading companies. Just to confirm, you're never going to bring that case back. It's gone.
No, Stephen, I did not say that. The minister asked the ESCOM board to consider 2 things. A, to drop the case or to stay the case.
The Group Chief Executive at ESCOM.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA, proud sponsor of South African Auto Week 2025. Your partner in growth, powering a sustainable future together. ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
17 minutes after 1 o'clock, we are chatting about the concept of speaking about money in the household and how it impacts your child to a point that it starts to feel burdensome or like they are a burden and now they are stressing about money. And I played the clip of Dref YTB on TikTok speaking about the damage of telling your children about your money problems. What are you doing in your homes? How's that working out for you? How did you get raised with the concept of how money is spoken about? And how did it impact your relationship with money today? And also asking for help or feeling like a burden. 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Sifako in Mabopane. How's it?
Relebogile, I'm good, and you, my dear?
I'm good. Go ahead.
You know, your topic is so great. I remember when I grew up at home when my father would ever say, Bafana, money is something that you work for and it will take you far. So for me to make you a better person, some of the tasks and chores here at home, you must execute them so as it minimizes the weight and teach me a lot of responsibility today, knowing that if my son have to know how to use money, how to save money, there are ways and means to help him to do that. Like for instance, there are some small tasks that requires me to hire someone to do, but if at his spare and free time he can execute those tasks, it helps him realize that it is important to take care of money and to use it sparingly and wisely. And when he gets remunerated for all those tasks, it teaches him to have a lot of responsibility as a child. Because giving a child money must be equal to the responsibility that it teach him or her to fulfill certain things. Because if not, your kid will end up not just wanting and wanting and wanting. Even when you say there's no money, they feel like you are overburdening them or you don't treat them well or this is not right. But if you will work it out in a very proper parenting way and let them know that they are responsible, it makes life more easier.
So do you feel like it equipped you for now, your life as an adult?
As in today, as an adult, trust you me, from what my father was putting in me, I see it today as, you know, when I was growing up, I saw it as if my father was not right because this and that didn't work out. But today, in all spheres, I remember, like for instance, one day I had to go to rent show with my friends. I needed 250 rand. And then there was a task that was there. You know, my old man helped me so much that I did the task. When my friends came in to help me, he said, gentlemen, that is his task. They left and went to Renshaw. I got the 250 at around 3 o'clock that day. And you know what I did with that 350? I've got my 2 pairs of pants, a shirt, and a pair of All-Stars. And I realized that if I could have gone to Renshaw, I would have waited another 7 months to reach Christmas to get those all stars, 2 pairs of pants and some shirt. So along the line, you pick up the level of responsibility that you as a person will have to do and fulfill certain things.
And
Not to
I'm
look at your
glad,
parents as-
Sefako, that you're speaking so positively about it, so that everybody that is listening, there can always be takeaways from these different conversations. Sefako, thank you so much. Evelyn in Pretoria, go ahead.
Yeah, so Lobahila, this issue is very much important.
Evelyn, I think I've lost you. Evelyn? All right, let's see if we can get Evelyn back on the line. There is a WhatsApp here that says, 702 Land, we used to have to go to my mother to get tissue before going to the toilet, and she would count how many sheets we used. What? That is another level of fear. Because even that action alone, if you know that your stomach is not okay, and now somebody must count how many blocks you are using, that is something else. Let's try Evelyn again. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi, Relebogile. So
There we
I
go,
lost
yes.
my husband. Yeah, I lost my husband about 3 years ago. So we lived quite a comfortable life with the two of us and our 2 daughters. So on the 16th of August, my eldest, who's 13, tried to commit suicide. She cut herself, and I asked why. And she said to me, Mom, when Dad was alive, who would afford the most luxurious lifestyle. We went to the most expensive schools. We lived in a very beautiful house, a big plot. But now I hear that we are struggling because although we still live a good life. Don't get me wrong. We live in a nice estate. They still go to a private school, but not the other one. So one of the things she said was that if she can kill herself, she knows that I will get a life cover, insurance paid out, and that life that we used to live will happen again because she's tired of hearing me saying that we know this year we're only gonna do 2 holidays instead of 5 holidays a year. So I almost lost my daughter in August, but we are still in therapy. We're getting there. So it's very important that although I was talking about my grief with her, I was unaware that I was telling her that, oh goodness, we don't have money like we used to have. We can't go out every weekend, for example. So that put a burden on her, and she thought maybe if she's gone, we can always do those things again with my youngest daughter.
Sure, that is so heavy. Evelyn, what kind of conversations have you and your daughter had since she tried to take her own life?
No, I tell her that, she must not worry about my responsibilities. It is my responsibilities to make sure that they've got a roof on their head, they go to school, and they also have things like privileges. To have the latest iPhone is a privilege, not a right. So I go out of my way to make sure that my kids are very comfortable. They got the best things that one could have, even though their father's not there. But so from now on, we decided that whatever that is my responsibility, that's not her problem. That's mine. But if they want something over and above, for example, the most expensive perfumes, I will say no, rather go and let's get the generic instead of the original, because those are expensive. I could afford them then when your father was alive. Now let's look at alternatives.
So have you started speaking differently about money around your daughter?
Of course, we had we don't talk about what I must do. We shouldn't worry about I haven't paid my funny bill, for example. I don't talk about my bills. We only talk about what they need and what they want, and then from the needs and the want, we decide which ones are more of a priority. So we no longer talk about money. That is my responsibility, and this took me back because when my husband was alive, we never spoke about money in front of the kids. But now I'm slowly, trying to live how I used to, because both of us are getting therapy on how we're supposed to, there's a mother and there's a relationship of a mother and a child, not best friends, or not a husband, where that I would, have those conversations. So no more talking about responsibilities, just the needs and the wants, and which one is priority.
Evelyn, please forgive yourself and don't carry the burden of feeling bad for speaking, not being aware.
Yeah, it's
You
hard.
yourself were dealing with the loss of a life partner, your husband.
Yeah, I still am. It's just 3 years and counting. So, each and every day reminds us of that he's not here. So I think I would do that. I would say that if he was here, he would be in London, for example, by now, during school holidays. But, I stopped that. I stopped because now she felt guilty that she's alive and Dad is not there. But if she's not there, it's me and her younger sister. We can still go to London instead of going to Sun City, for example.
And I think that the big lesson also is it's not less of a life, not having access to certain material things and experiences. It is no less of a life. It is still a quality and great life. And thank you so much for sharing, Evelyn. May all of you continue to heal, and condolences on the loss of your husband and the father of your children. I'm sure it's not easy, and I really hope your daughter continues to heal in the different ways, going to therapy, and all of you as well. We've got some voice notes on 072 702 1702.
My biggest issue with money is that when it was brought up, it was in a negative way. So to say, if the subject of money came up, it was always surrounding its lack, as opposed to this is what you're supposed to do with money. So growing fast forward to today, as a parent, I am really struggling as an individual and in general to have a good relationship with money, a proactive relationship with money. I tend to try to be an avoidant, and money traumas.
Hello, Reliant team. Well, growing up, my grandfather used to tell me that a child that asks for money will become an adult that's too dependent. So you should wait till money is given to you. You should not constantly ask for money. So I guess that helped me in a way, because during school holidays, especially when I was in high school, I would work those holiday jobs at Edgar's, and that's where my financial literacy journey started. And it shaped me a lot, because I was not too dependent on my parents. Sometimes I'd buy myself a sneaker or a t-shirt.
Hello, everybody. I think it is important to share your budget with your kids if they are of understanding age. From my experience, my kids were of understanding from the age of 14 to 16. And because I'm a single parent with a single income and no backup, they would also help me along so as not to buy things that I want and not need. However, a parent got to be very observant to see that they are not burdening their children with the information, with any information for that matter. But if they understand why you're not buying the wants and not the needs, you have more open communication and open understanding. Thank you. Bye.
Sure. I just want to, and thank you so much to those voice notes. I want to comment on the gentleman who said that when he was younger, he was told that children who ask for money too much. I think it's so tricky, because this conversation also relates to where you are financially. If you aren't in a good place, the likelihood is the conversation is not necessarily going to be positive. And if you are in a great place, and it's not to say they aren't stingy people. What was that guy's name? Mr. Getty. Was he Paul Getty? That very, very rich man who was so stingy that he put a dicky box in his house, because when visitors were then wanted to make phone calls back in the 19 what-whats, he put a dicky box. That's how stingy he was. The story of the man whose grandson got kidnapped and they cut off the ear and he refused to return or to pay the ransom. But I think there are certain circumstances that will automatically lend themselves to money not being spoken about positively. And I feel for all parents who find themselves in situations where your child is asking why there's no peanut butter. And it's like, guys, today we're having dry bread. And maybe the lesson is to try and keep a positive spin, as in make it feel like it's okay. It's okay that we're eating dry bread, or it's okay, sometimes it's a dry bread meal, as opposed to we are so poor, we don't have money, and now your child feels like they need to go have a job and they're 6 years old. It's 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon. What's the latest with EFF leader Julius Malema?
Well, Relebogile, good afternoon. Malema says he is unfazed by a court ruling which found him guilty on charges related to discharging a firearm in public. The East London Magistrates Court convicted Malema today of breaching the Firearms Control Act. The charges include reckless endangerment to persons and the unlawful possession of a firearm. Some family members of late former South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, have expressed unhappiness over how they were informed of his death. Mthethwa, a former police minister, was found dead in a hotel in Paris yesterday. The family says they are still stunned by the news of his passing and are concerned that no formal communication was sent to them about the incident. And a police investigation continues into allegations of fraud and corruption involving municipal contracts to the approximate value of 1.6 billion rand in the Western Cape. Police are executing a large-scale search and seizure operation at 26 locations across Cape Town. The operation began during the early hours of yesterday. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving Alex heading towards Midrand, we still have slow-moving traffic in the Kelvin area. This is on the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butler interchange. Also heading into the Germiston CBD. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on M2 westbound between the Geldenace interchange and Refinery Road. Also in the Joburg CBD. Heading towards Rivoli, there's slow-moving traffic on Main Reef Road between Anderson and the M2, and if you are traveling towards Eldorado Park, roadwork still causing delays. This is on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The awful news that emerged from Paris yesterday, Nathi Mthethwa, our ambassador to France, dying. Can you give us some clarity on the circumstances surrounding his death?
As we understand it, he had left home on his way to a cocktail dinner. That's the information that the wife had provided to the French authorities.
Can you at least confirm whether it is true or not that he fell from the 22nd floor?
At this point, it's definitely not something that we're able to confirm.
The more we know, the less we know. Crispin Piri.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Hollywood Bet Aziz Shege. Be on the Game is back for the new soccer season. Up for grabs is a share of 4 million rand in prizes, including the Toyota Rumion, Corolla Cross, Hilux 2.4 GD6 DC, and a Starlet Cross. To qualify, bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures for your chance to score big. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 In Brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
No one will ever understand just how much your car means to you. The way Bumblebee carried you through road trips, or how Ruby Gold has been there for every big moment. This Name Your Car Day 2 October. 702 is teaming up with Stellantis, the global automotive powerhouse behind brands like Citroën, Alfa Romeo, Peugeot, Opel, Jeep, and Fiat, to give you a chance to win your share of 20,000 Rand. 20,000 Rand all day on 702. WhatsApp voice note of your car's name, the story behind it, plus your name and ID number to 072 702 1702. We could call you all day with 5,000 Rand to celebrate your bond. Thanks to Stellantis on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
25 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we are chatting about conversations around money in the home that make a child feel like they are a burden. Were you raised in this way, where you were told, like, this is so stressful, and you felt responsible and it made you feel some type of way? Or was money spoken about in a healthy way, where now you have a great relationship with money? I want to hear from you. 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. A message says, "Hi Relebogile, growing up we lived a normal life like everyone in the village. But later on, I realized that my parents had money, but they preferred us not to be different in terms of being too spoiled or being too in lacking. That's the principle I apply to my kids now in terms of money. We buy magwinga in the township in the morning, then later go to a restaurant for dinner." This is from Ishmael Mamaila. And then another person is asking, please share the TikTok video handle. I shall. The account is DREFYTB, as in Dre FYTB, and that is on TikTok. And you can just search the video where he's talking about the real damage of telling your kids about your money problems. Hi, 702. My parents were always telling me money doesn't grow on trees. Great show as always. I think we all heard that thing of money doesn't grow on trees, right? The question is, how far did it go? Did it become now you feeling like I need to get a job while you were still in diapers? I think that's just the tricky one. You're in diapers, now you're like, I need to get a job when I come out of creche and take a shift in because my parents are really struggling, or my parent is struggling. Here are more of your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Relebogile and team. Relebo, I grew up in a family where all the money problems were communicated and dumped on us. And I'm very grateful that that happened, because I'm one of the people who will never ask for help. If I start something, I must finish it. If I don't have money to buy something, I must just do without it. So I think it's helped me a lot in how I manage my money. And so I disagree that dumping your financial problems on children is toxic. Thanks, Zippo.
Thank you. I didn't use the word toxic, but I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna say this, ne? We're not all the same. Some people will say, I used to get hit when I was a child and I turned out fine. And some people will say, money problems were dumped on me and now I'm struggling as an adult. So things that happen in one household, depending on who you are as a person, might not be viewed as toxic, abusive, or all the different names that we can use. Whereas in other households, they are a problem. So let's also be mindful of the fact that just because you're okay and you were able to make it positive. I've shared before that I was allowed to drink as a teenager at home. It doesn't mean I will never encourage anybody to do that with their kids. I will not be allowing my child to drink. I turned out okay. But for other people, letting your child drink at home, they turn into alcoholics. So let's not dismiss the reality that other people have because you turned out okay. More of your voice notes on 072 702 and 702.
Morning, Lebo. Tato here. Great topic. When I was 8 years old, my dad left the civil service, my mom left the bank, and they opened a business together. And because I spent so much time with my mom, often when she did the banking for the shop, I was there. When we went stock taking, I was there. So I pretty much knew what our finances looked like. So it almost gave me a paranoia about spending. So to this day, I'm very, very frugal because I knew my parents' pocket from the age of 8. It's a thing I can't shake off. I remember when we first came to Joburg in 1980, I was 8 years old, and we took a maxi taxi to go from Joburg Park. I can't remember where we were going to. And I was watching the meter the entire time, counting in 10-cent coins. And to this day, when I'm in a meter taxi in Europe, for argument's sake, I still continue to watch these cents. And that's because I knew my parents' pocket from the age of 8.
Yo, do you see? I think also there are certain traumas that will manifest differently. That even when you are comfortable, you are living in fear of not having money. And that is the voice of Tato or DJ Fresh. I can confirm he is a frugal man. I can confirm. Definitely. He keeps cars from years and years. And some of these things genuinely live in people. When now you are comfortable, you can't even enjoy your money. Like you still want to live like you are struggling. You still have the mentality of somebody who is broke in a way that you are not truly enjoying your life. More of your voice notes.
I'm from a home where imali ibikhona, but they deliberately wouldn't give us like we were like those kids that were like we're rich, but at school we were the poorest, so we didn't have lunch money or anything. Like captain from grade arts on the trick, and they were strict with money. And the argument has always been, they're trying to train you, because one day we won't have money and you need to know how to survive. Let me tell you, when I was a kid, I felt like, listen, these people hate us. They don't really like us because why are we struggling when everything is fine? But the adults, me now, I'm grateful, Shem. I am so grateful because I know how to save. I know how to not just spend, G.
So I like that, but let me also say, I don't know if I would implement that, because here's my thing. If I'm working so hard for my money, like as Relebogile, I'm working really hard for my money. I don't see why my son should not enjoy the benefits of it, especially because me having to work as hard as I do for my money means he loses out on having a mom. Now, I'm not saying my son is spoiled or should be spoiled, but he definitely has access to some of the best things in this world. Because then why am I working this hard? I need to see my money being enjoyed and eaten by my child while I'm alive. That's my view, of course. More of your voice notes.
Hey, Relebogile, great show. I think the rising anxiety I feel whenever there's a show on the radio about money says a lot about what I learned about money as a kid. Growing up, my dad ran his own business, had real trouble just keeping us afloat. So there was always a sense that money was too tight to mention, and there was a lot of stress and underlying stress in the house the whole time. Also, I don't think my parents managed their money very well, and that is as a knock-on effect has meant that I have really, really struggled to get my head around budgeting and managing money. I'm in my 50s now, and it still can be a challenge. Bruce, Pretoria.
Hi, Lebu. I strongly agree with the TikTok video. For me, asking for money from my dad never had money. He wasn't working at the time by choice. He wasn't working for years, so my mom had to bear the brunt of the finances. And at some point, you ask her for money, and she's going on about how she doesn't have money because she has to carry everything. That resulted in me being super hyper independent and has been problematic in my relationships, for which I've had to seek therapy to finally unlearn the toxicity that hyper independence can bring in a relationship. Great show, Anonymous.
Hi there. I used to be a great believer in not, dumping my money problems on my children. But now I've been unemployed for the past 6 months, and the reality is I simply cannot afford to give them, the things that I used to. So now I find myself saying, no, I don't have the money, ask daddy. Or no, remember I said when I have a job, I will buy this for you. mommy can't do it right now. So, but it makes me feel really, really bad and guilty. I know I shouldn't be, saying this to my children, but I have no other way. I can't provide for them, in the way that they were accustomed to. This is Anonymous.
Anonymous, sending you big hugs. I'm going to say this. I think there is a big difference between dumping money problems on your children and making them aware. Because I think that is the real issue here, is how are you communicating? How much detail are you going into? How often are you communicating it? Because it's not like even me, the same person who said I must see my child eating my money. I also say there's no money. You must, because they need to learn that you can't just have anything you want at any time. So please don't feel bad. That is the reality. It's about how you communicate it. When you communicate it, what language are you using? Is the energy like you are suffering? Are you now transferring this burden, emotional, psychological burden onto your child? Or is your child just the way, okay, mommy doesn't have, maybe we'll try again next time. It's a different thing when your child walks away from that conversation feeling like they now have to figure out how to help their mom or their dad with their money problems. I think that is a massive, massive challenge. Anonymous in Johannesburg, who's 42 and a female, says, at times when we asked for money for an excursion or something minor, we would hear the full monthly expense rundown, bond, car fees, etc. Left a guilt trip, and eventually you'll say, it's fine, you don't need it. Forward 2 years later, when my husband was retrenched and had to take on a household single-handedly, I can understand the stress that financial constraints can put on a person. I forgive my parents for the full rundown. My kids know where we are at financially, but it's hard when you're at the bottom to afford luxuries and brands which teens usually want. And that is coming through from Anonymous. This is such a tricky conversation because you just don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what's going to happen with your children. So I think it really is about mindfulness. Our family was comfortably well off when I was growing up, and we kids were never made aware of household and family expenses. However, our parents taught us the value of money by giving us a monthly allowance once we were teenagers. Similarly, once we were university students, I had to use it for all my toiletries, entertainment, and some of my clothes as well, not the basics. I had to live within my means, and it was a very, very good lesson that I learned. I'm very happy that worked out for you. Relebogile, we were okay growing up until around 10, then hood rich, okay, as in rich in the township, till 20-ish, then blessed onwards. That taught me that I needed to work hard for my things and that nothing is yours until you've built it yourself. That was financial support when you needed it, but never all the way. Thank you so much for all of your messages, for all of you getting in touch. I think as parents, give yourselves grace. This thing is tough, man. And there are things that we say and we have intentions of doing and real life happens. And then you're just like, just have the money, or no, I'm frustrated, this happened. Give yourself grace and do your best to do better, and have open conversations with your children that are age appropriate and that are not putting the responsibility onto them to be worried about money problems. Thank you so much.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
EFF leader Julius Malema has announced his intention to appeal a court ruling which found him guilty of discharging a firearm in public. This morning, the East London Magistrates Court convicted Malema under the Firearms Control Act. The case relates to a 2018 rally in Mdantsane where he allegedly fired shots into the air in close proximity to thousands of EFF supporters. While Malema has been convicted, his bodyguard Adrian Snyman has been acquitted of all charges. Malema has rejected the verdict, insisting that the court's decision is flawed.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
702 Finance Feature.
10 minutes to 2 o'clock, and we walk into the finance feature for today to talk about navigating financial infidelity. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. We're going to tell you all about it. 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. And we're joined by independent financial advisor, educator, and speaker, Dedi Shabalala. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Dedi, before you tell me about financial infidelity, in your home, do you speak about money problems, as that's what we've been chatting about?
Yes, we speak about it very clearly. My wife is into banking. I'm a financial advisor, so money is it's an easy subject for us to discuss.
Okay, so Dedi, what is financial infidelity?
So most people identify with it in terms of hiding money and hiding debts and loans, secretly saving money or giving money away that your partner doesn't want. And it's basically not disclosing the full financial aspect of your life to your partner.
You know what I initially thought financial infidelity is? I thought initially that maybe it's your partner like giving people, like giving woman, your man giving woman money. Like that type of dynamic. That's what I thought
Right.
it was.
No,
It's
deeper
like,
than that.
yes, okay. And the way you explain it makes sense because maybe we don't talk about it so much. And maybe the term was coined recently, in recent times, when women started to be financial contributors, because there was a time where if as a woman you aren't working and you can't have your own bank account, why would there be financial infidelity when, you know, it was not likely that the husband was sharing all the details openly with the wife? There are some households where that did happen, though.
Yes, correct. And also, it talks about the issue of trust between the two people in the relationship, you know. So if the trust is not there to fully disclose where you stand financially, it makes it very, very hard for you to have that conversation. And just to piggyback from your other conversation earlier on, where you were talking about the kids and finances and how do you help the kids understand finances, that builds up manuscripts as you grow up as an adult. So those manuscripts that you pick up from being a child, that comes into your relationship when you are grown up as an adult, you know. So when someone tells you that money doesn't grow on trees, and that's the manuscript that you have, that's how you're going to show up in your relationship and hide money.
And that and the relationship, your relationship with finances, rather. So maybe help us then understand, Ntate Shabalala, that what is the boundary? Let's talk the ideal scenario of couple dynamics. Let's assume it's a healthy couple. It's irrelevant who has more money or not, because what we're speaking about has nothing to do with those power dynamics, but more to do with how money is communicated, if I understand, and not just how we speak about money, but how we agree on what we're doing with the money of the household.
Yes, that's a very good question. So the most important thing here is to be able to be vulnerable. As you said here, we're talking about an ideal couple where everything is fine, doesn't matter who earns more money. So it's about being vulnerable to expose your finances, you know, to say that, yes, I make so much money, I've got 1,000 rands, But of this 1,000 rands, I actually have responsibilities back at home where someone paid for my education, and now it's my turn to help the other family members also go through education. So from this 1,000 rands, I can only contribute 500 to the household. You know, it's those type of discussions that you need to have with your partner. They might be hard, they might be very difficult, but it's about opening up and being vulnerable and sharing full transparency. You know, that's what vulnerability is. You know, showing up naked about your finances to say, this is where I am, this is what I have, and this is where we stand. You know, it's full transparency to say, this is how much money I've spent, this is where we are, and this is where we want us to go to, and this is how I think we're going to get there.
You know, I'm so glad you said the full transparency, because it's also the disclosing part. So, for example, let's assume in this hypothetical, in inverted commas, healthy relationship, I know you earn 50,000. You know I earn 50,000. We've agreed that this pool goes to the household. You have a bigger family. You send 2,000 rand home, and I have a smaller family. I send 500 rand home. We're aligned. But then comes bonus time, where now you're not telling me bonus. You are quiet. But then when I visit there by the in-laws, there's this new built thing, and the mother-in-law says, "How I carry your husband built for us."
Yeah.
Oh, that's the infidelity.
That's the infidelity. I mean, think of financial infidelity as having a side chick in the relationship. I mean, that's what you're technically doing. You are basically having an affair with your money on the side.
And being dishonest as well. So when in your view, and maybe you can speak from your own personal experience, being with a person who also is in the financial space, what is your philosophy when it comes? Is it always, let's discuss first and decide? And then the big one is, in the infidelity part of the conversation, I know there's some couples who'll say, this is our household expenses. So we have one account where all the household expenses get debited from. What's left over is your own money. Do what you want. So I'm assuming the infidelity would apply to what happens in the household expenses.
It applies to everything, I think. It's about that full disclosure. So as you said, I must talk to you from my personal financial experience. So when COVID happened, I didn't have any income coming in for about 7 months. And that was very hard on my wife and children.
Yes.
And I needed to pivot from that. You know, we had to have those hard discussions to say, I no longer bring in the bacon. What are we going to do? You know, so it's about that discussion and being open about it, and also having the space to be able to be free to talk about that. You know, the security to know that you're not going to get in trouble, or when you are vulnerable, people are going to use that against you, you know, and weaponize it. If my wife is going to go and talk to people and say, this one, he doesn't have money, obviously I will not be disclosing that in the future, you know. So it's about not just one aspect of emotional safety, but all around it as well. So you don't want people to weaponize it against you.
Yes, because obviously, I mean, I had a caller a few years back who shared that he had lost his job and then didn't tell the wife. He still kept pretending like he's going to work when they were retrenching people. And 6 months later, the funds finished. And the way he found out, because he was hopeful something was going to come, he didn't want her stressed, was when their medical aid did not pay and their child had a life-threatening illness. And I think what you're saying about the vulnerability, it also requires that the dynamics and the relationship are such that you're confident that your partner is not going to shame you for not making an income.
Exactly. So it's also very important to understand that money isn't just numbers. It's highly, highly emotional, and it represents security, freedom, and love, you know. So it's not just about the money, it's about security. So if there's issues around the security and the money disclosures and stuff like that, people will not feel safe in that relationship when money is not clear.
Can I tell you where I think problems are with honesty of conversations around money is if one person earns significantly more than the other, where let's say the other person now is the one earning very little or not at all because they're a stay-at-home mom, and now the other person is like, I can't speak to this person about my 200,000 rand income, X, Y, and Z. And maybe that's where the challenge is. But we're going to have to leave it then, Tate Shabalala. I think we definitely will be chatting again soon. In the next hour of the show, a masterclass with Standard Bank Private. We're talking about exploring wealth through travel and experiences. Yes, today's show is all about money. It's 2 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. EFF leader Julius Malema says he is unfazed by a court ruling which found him guilty on charges related to discharging a firearm in public. The East London Magistrates Court convicted Malema today of breaching the Firearms Control Act. The charges include reckless endangerment to persons and the unlawful possession of a firearm. In its judgment, the court found that some defence witnesses were more argumentative than responsive and therefore did not work in his favour. Speaking to EFF supporters following the judgment, Malema emphasised that this does not mark the end of his political career.
As a revolutionary, going to prison or death is a badge of honour. We cannot be scared of prison. We cannot be scared to die for the revolution. So whatever they want to do, they must know we will never retreat from the ideas and the 7 cardinal pillars of the EFF.
Let's stay in the courts. The state prosecutor in the Palapala burglary trial has declared his own witness as hostile. The witness had several discrepancies in his oral testimony that do not align with an earlier statement given to police. The witness, who cannot be named for legal reasons, allegedly drove the robbers from Limpopo to Gauteng a few days after they broke into President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm and allegedly made off with $580,000 in cash. The trial is currently being heard at the Mudimule Regional Court in Limpopo. Tabiso Koba reports.
The driver initially told the police he was paid $30,000 in cash, but has since changed this figure to 7,000 rand. The driver has also gone back on his previous police statement that accused number 1, Emanuela David, was one of the people he transported. Earlier today, the courts rejected the state's application to invoke Section 189 of the Criminal Procedure Act to declare the driver as an uncooperative witness. State prosecutor Nketseni Munyai.
Without repeating the factual basis that were laid by the state when the state requested the court to act in terms of Section 189, and with leave of the court, may the state submit that on those same factual basis, the state requests that the witness will be declared hostile.
The defense lawyers opposed the application, calling the prosecutor desperate. However, Magistrate Peter Mantate allowed it, opening the door for the prosecutor to cross-examine his own witness. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News in Limpopo.
Let's shift our focus to this now. Some family members of late former South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, have expressed unhappiness over how they were informed of his death. Mthethwa, a former police minister, was found dead in a hotel in Paris yesterday. The family says they are still stunned by the news of his passing and are concerned that no formal communication was sent to them about the incident. His uncle, Musawukphila Mthethwa, says they were not communicated with properly.
We were supposed to be informed about it first so that we can properly arrange ourselves.
Another uncle, Elias Mthethwa, says the way in which they found out about their son's passing was sad.
We are not happy about this matter. It broke our hearts as we heard in the news. By the time we got home, we saw that this is now all over the news, while we as the family were not yet informed.
To this now, an investigation is continuing into allegations of fraud and corruption involving municipal contracts valued at approximately 1.6 billion rand in the Western Cape. Police are executing a large-scale search and seizure operation at 26 locations across Cape Town. The operation began during the early hours of yesterday. The targeted addresses include businesses, homes of municipal officials, and locations linked to individuals as well as entities that were awarded contracts by the city. The police's Andre Trott says the intervention follows information received initially from a whistleblower.
The operation, which stems from whistleblower information and preliminary investigations, is aimed at securing crucial evidence to establish the scope of alleged irregularities. SAPS reiterates its commitment to fighting corruption and protecting public resources and urges the public to allow investigators the necessary space to conduct their work.
The City of Cape Town's Lutando Jalibongo.
In line with the city's zero-tolerance approach to fraud and corruption, City Forensic Services took swift action to assess and report the matter to SAPS, who then undertook a search and seizure operation. Operations took place at various addresses, including business premises, municipal buildings, and private residences. More details will be made available by SAPS as the investigation progresses.
And in the Philippines, authorities have warned that the death toll from a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake may rise as search and rescue operations continue. In the latest figures, 69 people have been confirmed dead, while dozens have been injured. The province of Cebu, which suffered the brunt of the damage, declared a state of calamity earlier today. The earthquake comes a week after the country was hit by back-to-back typhoons, which killed more than a dozen people. The local authorities have appealed for volunteers with medical experience to help to deal with the injuries. Gold is trading at $3,887.12 an ounce. The rand is at 17.19 to the dollar, 23.14 to the pound, 20.14 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $66.03 a barrel.
In Alberton, heading towards Vereniging, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the R59 southbound between Swartkoppies and Klip Rivier Drive. Also, there's still slow-moving traffic heading towards Midrand. That's in the Kelvin area on the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Batoons Change. And if you are leaving Boksburg heading towards Brakpan, we still have those roadworks slowing down traffic. N17 eastbound between Rondepolder Road and Heidelberg Road.
Gauteng is partly cloudy this afternoon. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN, EFF leader Julius Malema says he's unfazed by a court ruling which found him guilty on charges related to discharging a firearm in public.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And we continue talking about money, seeing as it's been a money show. First, we were talking, sorry, Stephen Grooters, I'm not coming for your job. But initially, we were talking about financial conversations in the home around children to the point where they feel burdened around finances. And so many of your messages were coming through with one person saying, thank you so much for this topic on children and money. I'm still struggling to spend money on myself because I was taught that when you make money, you must take care of your family. And that is not a healthy thing. In as much as we want to save and have good money habits, what's the point of earning that money if you're not going to enjoy it in moderation, of course? So I hope those of you that missed the conversation, primemediaplus.com or download the app. And now financial infidelity, we learn something new every single day. Coming up in this hour of the show, it's the Masterclass together with Standard Bank Private. And we're talking about exploring wealth through travel and experiences. Oh, This one is for me. This one is for me, and I'm so excited. And do let us know your thoughts. 011-883-0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M. At Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702.
702.
Masterclass time. Now, this masterclass with me, Relebogile Mabotja, is brought to you by Standard Bank Private on 702. And this particular one explores what it takes to design a wealthier life by making smart financial moves that build legacies. Standard Bank is committed to helping clients live a wealthier life, not just financially, but through meaningful experiences, exposure, and connection. And that includes travel. So, to find out how the new Standard Bank travel platform makes travel more affordable and accessible. We are chatting to Michelle Munemo, head of CVP Private Banking at Standard Bank on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. And of course, T's and C's apply. Michelle, welcome back. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing well. And you and I were just having the conversation off air now. You are in the money space fully. How far was money spoken about when you were a kid? And how did that influence how you approach money in your personal life and day to day?
So my parents spoke about money a lot, actually, and it was in varying degrees, often to say whether there was enough or whether there was not enough. So a very balanced conversation around money, but also a lot of teaching behaviors around managing money and understanding money. I think a lot of people only begin to realize those things when they start to earn their own money. So quite a balanced view around the importance of money, and a very balanced view around preserving money, but also enjoying money, which is what we're talking about today.
And I think the reason I wanted to start on that point is because so many of us have grown up having a certain idea of what is supposed to happen with money. So if you have a terrible fear of not having money, you might struggle to spend.
Yeah.
You might struggle to actually just live your life, like actually enjoy your things. And we hear stories of people straight after retirement, they finally are like, I'm now going to spend my money, and then they drop dead and they don't get to have the experiences. So share from your perspective, what are the questions that maybe one should ask themselves when they are learning to enjoy their money?
I think that what we need to accept, or kind of the first step in that journey, is appreciating that we are all in a relationship with money. Whether you like it or not, you are in a relationship with money.
And whether you have it or not.
And whether you have it or not, you are in a relationship with money. So I think it's important to understand your individual and personal relationship with money. My relationship with money will not be the same as yours. A lot of it is inculcated in childhood. So you'll find probably the person that you've spoken about has been told that saving is the only thing that you do with your money.
Yes.
But there's another side of the equation, right? We save, but we also enjoy the money that we have. So I think understanding the relationship that you have with money is very important. That childhood component becomes really important, because that's where a lot of those behaviors come from. And then we often compensate for some of those things, right, that we either had or didn't have in childhood. So it's to then have a very balanced and informed view of what it is that you need to work on, or the things that sort of trip you up as it relates to money. So those are really foundational things, but that relationship with money, understanding it, is really, really critical to then saying, how do we balance ourselves out, knowing that we have these things?
So I see this common term that people use on social media, which I'm loving, where they speak about, they'll say something like, when I was a kid, I always wanted a Lego set, and my parents could never afford it. And then I remembered I have adult money. And then they show themselves like splurging on this thing.
Yeah.
And the reason I love that trend of people sharing that is because they're allowing themselves to live out their childhood dreams that they didn't get to. And for me, I always was more into experiences than I was into, like, I never grew up having longing for a designer Louis Vuitton bag. I specifically remember, I don't know if you remember the era of Buffalo and Skechers.
Yes.
Yo, guys, those of you that remember, 80s babies will remember.
Yes.
So there was a time in primary school, the Skechers came out, the Buffaloes, I remember, were 1,000 rand. So keep in mind, that is Boma 1995, 1996. It's a lot of money. Now, I'm pretty sure my parents could afford it, but my mom flat out refused. And her thing for refusing, especially if I said everybody has nail is in the corner. That was the worst trigger. That was the worst, right? So now, but what it taught me is that you can still look nice without these things, but you can splurge on other things, like let's go to the beach.
Yeah.
Let's have these life experiences. And I'm so glad I still have held on to that. Doesn't mean I don't look at pretty things. There are Ferraris, I'm like, one day is one day, you know? But I also see that value of these experiences that you'll know it costs X amount to go to Mauritius or wherever.
Yeah.
But you also know it is a priceless experience nobody can ever take away from you.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons I'm like, I gotta be rich, so that you can have wonderful experiences or eat at the best restaurants in the world.
And I think I'm very much like you. Travel experience is really, really passionate about. I think you learn a lot about other places, about yourself. And like you say, that cannot be taken away from you, right? And travel is becoming really, really important for a lot of our clients. What we're seeing is that travel spend has increased quite significantly since COVID. In fact, we're seeing that our clients are spending almost double what they did pre-COVID.
Oh.
So, you know, we had that period of revenge travel.
Yes, where all we wanted to do is get out of here.
And we thought it would last for a year or two after COVID. It sustained itself. And we are still seeing clients traveling quite a lot to various destinations. Beach destinations are really popular. So domestic, where we see a lot of volume, is to Cape Town, Durban, as well as Port Elizabeth. And then outside SA, Mauritius remains really, really popular. Your Bali as well, Zanzibar. So I think South Africans love a good beach holiday. But we do also see a lot of travel to New York, London. But I guess the theme here is people want to travel. They are traveling, but travel has also become more expensive. So the price of a flight now versus 6 years ago is quite a big difference. So we're doing quite a few things to help our clients travel easier.
I have to ask, do you think that the reason the increased travel was sustained is because I was just trying to figure out, if we are poorer as a country, but we're traveling more and travel is more expensive, is it not that in that period, and obviously the past few years of how social media like TikTok has risen, we are starting to value things a little bit differently and are more willing? I mean, I'm sure many people turned life leaves during COVID in terms of what's actually important and all those things. What do you think, or maybe what are some of the reasons the clients share with you?
I think there's several reasons. So definitely, I think the cabin fever of COVID has given people a different perspective on travel and just the desire to get out more, to see more. So that's one reason. You mentioned social media. I think that is a key reason why travel, despite some of the challenges that you've spoken about, continues to sustain itself. So just to give you a very real example of how social media has changed the travel landscape, you get to see places that you probably wouldn't have seen before. So it's a lot more accessible. Then you've got an influencer telling you hacks and tricks of, how did I get here? Where do I book? Where do I eat? So places which would have in the past maybe been out of reach or inaccessible are a lot more accessible for people. I think also the decrease in interest rates in the last year or so, as well as inflation easing up, has meant that people have a little bit more room in their budgets to travel. So yes, things are still tight, but we have a little bit more capacity to maneuver and spend a little bit more on travel. And then, of course, you've got a number of rewards programs, a number of big travel names that are really making it easier from a cost perspective to travel. So there are a few things that are in the bag that are making it easier and more cost effective for people to travel, despite it actually being more expensive.
Yes. And I think people are just finding interesting and cool hacks and realizing not all experiences need to be pricey. Exactly like what you said. I mean, I would advise anybody, if you're going to a destination and you need hacks, actually search on TikTok before you even use your AI. Hear from people themselves on the little hidden restaurant where you get great food and all of those things. So now Standard Bank's data is showing this increase in travel spend, especially among the private banking clients. So what other trends are you seeing in how and where South Africans are choosing to travel? I mean, I know you spoke about Mauritius and our travel feature that comes up a lot. I know it's quite a prime destination.
It is.
Guys, it's not hype. You must go. Like, it is not hype. I've been. Which are some of the other places? And I had the thought as well around the fact that even though you said local travel has gone up, we know that traveling to Cape Town, it could be cheaper to just go to Thailand.
Absolutely. It can, depending
Right?
on when you book. What we're seeing is people are wanting a lot more unique experiences. So people don't want to do the thing that everyone is doing, right? So people are really looking for those destinations that are off the beaten path. They want destinations where there's a brag factor, right? Some places where people have never really been. So we're seeing people really seeking out those unique experiences a lot more. So it's the difference between going to Bali and going where everyone has been, to going to Bali and being to somewhere that's a little less popular and really immersing yourself in the culture. Solo travel is also becoming quite big. So you'll find family travel. Yes, that is a big part of travel, but you're finding a lot of people thinking it's not making it out of the WhatsApp group. I'm going to go alone. So there is a lot of solo travel that we're seeing amongst different age groups, Gen Zs, around the 80s babies. So there is a lot of that as well. And of course, with that, safety becomes really important. So you'll find that it tends to be destinations that are known for being quite safe, where solo travel becomes quite important. And then domestically as well, like you say, because some of the more common sort of routes, your Cape Towns, your Durbans, are becoming quite expensive. People are looking for some alternative options. So you'll see there's a lot of travel within Gauteng where people just want to be an hour or two away from home, and some really beautiful destinations. So I guess people are really looking for unique experiences, but in a cost-effective way is what's important to people.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to find out how Standard Bank is actually helping clients make travel more affordable.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings.
8 to midnight.
What is the binding vision of South Africa and South Africanness? I think we lost that. We have degenerated into a place where we are nothing more than a transactional space. I say this with tears in my eyes because the potential, whom we could have become, is a distant memory. There are some of us who still feel the fire. We are able to rise above our partisan transactional nonsense that produces people who can steal 2 billion rand.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Spin for the win in the thrilling Hollywood Bets Spinner Zonke Jackpot Race. Stand a chance to win a share of 3 million rand in cash. Feel the rush of fiery fortunes every Wednesday, Friday and Saturday between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. when you bet 2 rand or more on selected habanero slots. Spinner for your shot at big wins. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
702 and corporates that care with Tracker are talking about Tracker's partnership with Matthew, an initiative helping South Africa's future leaders succeed in maths and science.
We have been part of this incredible country for the last 29 years. South Africa has helped us grow into the organization that we are and has helped us be part of the economy of this country. So fundamentally, we now have to give back. We have to make sure that not just for the last 29 years, but for the future 29 years, we're participating in that conversation. Secondly, Bongani, Tracker is growing exponentially at the moment. We're employing at all levels within the organization, from top to bottom in essence. So what we're actually looking for as part of that growth fundamental is to make sure that we have the right people coming into the organization. We can either be part of the solution or we can be part of the problem or do nothing.
Tracker, protecting futures by investing in STEM education. Visit matthew.co.za to learn more. 702, let's walk the talk.
You're experiencing the vision, purpose, and success on the Masterclass with the Relebogile Mabotja, brought to you by Standard Bank Private on 702.
24 minutes after 2 o'clock, we continue with our masterclass together with Standard Bank Private as we talk about exploring wealth through travel and experiences with the head of CVP Private Banking at Standard Bank, Michelle Monemo. And before we went to the break, and we take your calls on 011 8830702 and the WhatsApp line 072702 and 702, I was asking about Standard Bank helping clients make travel more affordable. We already touched on the fact that Gune platform talk to us.
Let's take it back before we talk about what's coming. Just around planning for travel.
Yes.
It is so important to plan ahead. So what we see is typically with international trips, people tend to book about 2 or 3 months in advance.
Yes.
With domestic, it is a little bit less, so just under a month. But obviously, the further in advance you book, your flight and even accommodation, the better it is from a cost perspective. I think it's also important to look at the different components of the travel. So how you're actually getting there, where you're going to stay, how much that's going to cost you, but also how much you're actually going to spend when you're there, so that you have a complete view of what this trip is going to cost you. So we have a budget planner tool, which is on our website that you can use to then look at how you plan for that December holiday, but start thinking about it in January. How much do I need to put away every month? It is really important to do that. So we have that available. Then also to help our clients live wealthier and to reduce the cost of traveling. We have quite a few discounts that we offer our clients through travel bookings. That can be flights. We offer discounts on accommodation. We offer discounts on car hire and quite significant discounts, some of them up to 35%. And then some really nice things like automatic upgrades if you hire a car with Avis, for example, if you're a certain client group. So there's a few things that we have in place to actually reduce the cost of travel. Then one that I really love and really excited about is our Shift app. So Shift is an app that allows you to buy foreign currency. It's a really cool app. We've won several awards for it. So you can buy your foreign currency on there. What's really nice is you can buy it in advance of your trip. So you can start putting a little bit away every month and store it in the Shift app for you to then use on a physical card when you travel.
Yes.
Or you can use a virtual card. So it's almost a saving for that spending money well in advance. And it's really easy to buy foreign currency and to use it. So that's also available. And then airport lounges, one of my favorites. I think it's always quite nice before a flight to stop for a meal and just take a moment to pause and reflect as you look forward to your trip. So for qualifying clients, we provide complimentary airport lounge access domestically as well as internationally. So even if you travel abroad, you can make use of quite a wide range of airport lounges. And then one that I think a lot of people probably overlook, but only realize how important it is when something happens, is travel insurance. No one wants to buy insurance, right? It's a grudge purchase. But until something happens, we realize how important it is. But the way we solve for our clients in that regard is if you pay for your travel or your flight on a credit card, you are covered from a travel insurance perspective. So you don't need to worry about it.
Like automatically?
Automatically. There are some exclusions, certain medical conditions, but generally most people would qualify for that travel insurance. So it takes away the need to then have to do this additional thing to get travel insurance if you pay for your travel on your credit card. So that's quite nice as well. And what's really nice about our travel insurance is it is for you as well as anyone else who you are traveling with on that flight that has been booked on that card.
Okay,
so you don't need to worry about it.
Really are making travel easier and cheaper. I have to ask, you mentioned Avis, for example. Are there any other partners that maybe listeners and myself can be aware of that Standard Bank has, sort of said, these are the outlets that we're affiliated with where you can get certain discounts?
There are quite a few. So Avis is one of them. Booking.com. So if you're a Standard Bank client and you pay on booking.com, you get a discount of up to 10%, which is quite nice, especially if you're also a member of the booking.com rewards program and get discounts through that as well. So it really then adds up in terms of the savings that you can get. For your travel essentials, Dis-Chem. So you want to pick up a few things that you need for your travel. What we do is on our UCount rewards program, you would actually earn on that spend at Dis-Chem. Then we have hotel partnerships as well. So the IHG Hotel Group, which has some really beautiful hotels. Again, there you can get discounts. So those are just a few of quite a number of discounts that we have. And then also on flights, we have something really exciting coming over the next few weeks, which will really help our clients to live wealthier and save money on the cost of travel.
All right, we're going to go to the news. When we come back, we continue with this masterclass together with Standard Bank. Get your questions in on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. It's 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. The East London Magistrates Court has found that EFF leader Julius Malema's attempts to avoid answering questions during his firearm discharge trial worked against him. Malema was found guilty of endangering people and property when he fired shots into the air at an EFF rally in Mdantsane in 2018. Handing down judgment today, the court criticized Malema's conduct during cross-examination. The prosecutor in the Palapala burglary trial has declared yet another one of his witnesses as hostile. The prosecutor has accused both witnesses of giving testimony which contradicts their earlier police statements. Emanuela David and siblings Froliana and Ndilinasho Joseph are appearing in the Mudimule Regional Court today in Limpopo in connection with the burglary. And National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has assured South Africans that crime intelligence boss Dumsani Khumalo is in good spirits and receiving medical care. Khumalo was meant to appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning to continue with his testimony, but he left the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria just after 9 a.m. after he started feeling unwell. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, if you're heading towards Vereeniging, that's traveling through Alberton. There's still slow-moving traffic on the R59. That's between Swartkoppies and Klip Drive. Also heading towards Midrand, leaving Alex. There's slow-moving traffic due to roadworks on the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Preclunes Change. Also roadworks causing some delays. That's leaving Boksburg, heading towards Brakpan on the N17 westbound between Rondebold and Carnival City. Look out for those faulty traffic lights. That's in the Rand Park Ridge area at Beyersdorp and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in the vibrant neighborhood of Rosebank. Rosebank has undergone a major facelift in recent years. There's been an extensive redevelopment of shopping malls and the construction of new corporate headquarters, apartment blocks, restaurants and hotels. Its residents and visitors are served by the Gautrain. Rosebank is also known for its thriving art scene, with numerous galleries and the Keys Art Mile showcasing local and international talent. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Rosebank.
Phishing, quishing, smishing, so many ishings. Aibo, scammers are doing the most these days. From dodgy SMSs to fake QR codes, hacked WhatsApps and asking for your PIN. If it ends in ishing, stay alert. It's probably ishing your money. Scams can happen anywhere. And if unsure, contact ABSA on 0860 557 557. Protect your money. Protect your story. ABSA, your story matters. An authorized financial services provider.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
No one will ever understand just how much your car means to you, the way Bumblebee carried you through road trips, or how Ruby Gold has been there for every big moment. This Name Your Car Day, 2 October. 702 is teaming up with Stellantis, the global automotive powerhouse behind brands like Citroën, Alfa Romeo, Peugeot, Opel, Jeep, and Fiat, to give you a chance to win your share of 20,000 Rand. All day on 702. WhatsApp a voice note of your car's name, the story behind it, plus your name and ID number to 072 702 1702. We could call you all day with 5,000 Rand to celebrate your bond. Thanks to Stellantis on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
Coming up
On 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. with John Perlman. John, how are you doing?
Yes, doing well, thanks. Good afternoon to all the listeners, and I hope you're well too.
I have to ask, when you were growing up, were there conversations around you, like from the adults in the household, your parents, around money that ever made you feel burdened?
So everything around money was incredibly uncomfortable. We didn't talk about it, but I could sometimes hear my parents arguing about it, and there was a sense of hush and awkwardness. And then little flashes of irritation and annoyance when things that, we would perhaps ask why we're not doing this or that, suggesting that there was money issues. But there was never a thing of saying, hey, listen, guys, let's just chat. This year, we have to fix the roof. We need to get a new car or whatever. I know that we said we might do this, but we can't, So, but yeah, those were the times. I mean, I was a small kid in the 60s. I don't think there was a hell of a lot of that going on, but it was always very uncomfortable. And occasionally I would ask questions, and they were shut down pretty fast, We're not going to chat to you about that. But the problem was, in as much as it was a problem, the conversations were going on, and even if you didn't know the details, you could obviously feel the energy was about worry and unhappiness, and so not a great model.
I hear you. Thanks for that. What's coming up on your show today?
So coming up on the show, the big political news story, I suppose, the conviction of EFF leader Julius Malema in regard to charges related to the Firearms Act. We're going to look first of all at some little intricate things in the law that I want to better understand in regard to members of parliament and criminal convictions, and at what point they kick in. If you're on appeal, does it suspend what happens, or does it take effect and it is then rescinded after the appeal? I think that's a crucial detail, because this is not going to be quick. And then obviously the political implications, if any. We'll do all of that after 5 o'clock. Women's Cricket World Cup gets underway. The Proteas are out and hoping to do as well as they've done in some other tournaments. We'll talk to one of their rising stars, Annelie Dirksen, about how she sees the tournament. There has been Relebogile reports of hacking into people's e-profiles on the SARS platform, and people losing money as a result. The tax ombudsman has been looking into it, and we're going to get details of their findings at about 25 minutes past 3. And then there's all the other stuff that's going to come up, but we don't know what it is. Otherwise, I would tell you.
702 Drive with John Perlman, coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
How are you making financial moves to secure a wealthier life? Find out on the Masterclass with Relebogile Mabotja, brought to you by Standard Bank Private on 702.
We continue with our masterclass together with Standard Bank Private, and we are talking about those experiences, travel that money can get you. So wealth through travel and experiences, together with head of CVP Private Banking at Standard Bank, Michelle Munemo. And in this conversation, we've really been touching on Standard Bank's new platform as well in terms of what it can offer its partners, the kind of discounts and some of the benefits you can get depending on the tier of client that you are while traveling together with Standard Bank. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. There's a question that I'm going to jump to while the topic is still fresh before we continue. They're saying, what does the travel insurance cover when you pay by credit card? And does this happen with all banks? Well, I obviously can't ask my guest because she's with this bank. But what I will ask is that it's not a standard financial institution's law that is imposed on you?
Absolutely. It's something that we believe we should offer to our clients. As it relates to what it covers quite a wide range of things, including medical emergencies, for example. It will cover baggage loss. So if something happens, you lose your luggage, it will cover that as well as a number of other things. There are some items that are excluded. So for example, extreme sports, but you can top up to make sure that you have the right cover. So we would provide that wording to you, which clearly articulates what's included and what's not. But I think just the ease of getting it without having to think about it really plays into how we want to make travel easier for our clients.
Okay, so now let's talk about just in the different, I know we've touched on the travel aspect, but are there any other things or experiences that you can enjoy your wealth with together with Standard Bank?
Absolutely. So travel is one part, right? But as you say, experiences are also a big part of enjoying your wealth. And I just want to take us back to the last time we spoke, where we said that travel means different things. Wealth means different things to different people. So clearly for you and I, travel is really important. For others, it's dining out. For some people, it's family and making sure that you spend time with family. For us, family is really important because that's a form of wealth, right? The legacy aspect that we spoke about. So even as it relates to travel, some of the things that we have in order to enable that family experience. So really small things like that airport lounge that we spoke about.
Yes.
You can bring guests into it. You can bring children into it. So that if you're traveling as a group, you then get to enjoy the lounge as a group of people. A few other things that we have, that travel insurance, as I said, it's for the group of people who are under that booking. So you don't need to worry about that. Again, really thinking about the family group and how we make sure that travel becomes a family experience. Around dining as well, we do have some experiences around dining packages. So if you'd like to sort of package a hotel, a cruise, we do have those options available as well. So there's quite a few things that we have as it relates to lifestyle, just beyond the travel component, but also just making it easier for you to travel with your family or your loved ones, can I say, more broadly.
Okay, we have festive season approaching, and of course, many of us are going to be planning our vacations and trips to visit. How is Standard Bank ensuring that its travel benefits are inclusive and not just for individual clients, but for their families and travel companions as well? And you've touched on the lounge. They can also get access to there.
Absolutely. And if you haven't tried our lounge, you need to. The one at ORT Domestic. Called the Library Lounge.
We are coming.
Please do come. It's a beautiful space. And again, it's really designed for family, including children as well. As it relates to some exciting things that are coming in the next few weeks, we have really thought about the loved ones as well. So if you're a client of Standard Bank, you're traveling with loved ones, you'll see in what we are sort of thinking about or what we are giving our clients in the next few weeks, that we really have thought about how easy and cost effective do we make it for the family group to actually travel. So what I'll say on that is buckle up, hold tight. We're about to take off in the next few weeks with something extremely exciting.
So you're not going to tell us today?
I'm not telling you today, but it's coming soon.
She is stressing us. Now we're like, what are we supposed to be downloading? When is it happening? Okay, beyond affordability, what role does travel play in the broader vision of Standard Bank and just helping clients grow their wealth and life experiences?
I think with travel, what we spoke about earlier is nobody can take those experiences and memories away from you, right? And so the role that we play beyond financial is enabling you to access those experiences, to enrich your lifestyle and therefore your wealth through travel. So what is it that we can do to give you the capacity from a financial perspective, but also just from an ease and simplicity perspective to actually book and enjoy travel? I think our rewards program as well also provides a lot of opportunity for you to earn as you spend. So the more you spend, the more you actually earn. So if you think about it, it's almost double the benefit, right? Because as you're spending, you're actually earning points which you can then spend on travel and other things. So again, creating wealth by widening the capacity for you to actually enjoy the things that you want to enjoy by helping you reduce expenses. And then lastly, it's really around how do we help you to achieve your lifestyle objectives, right? Even though if they are non-financial, what does that look like? So you'll remember the last time I spoke about the conversations with the wealth planner, right? So if you want to travel, one of the things that we would chat to you in our discussions about is in that budget that we spoke about last time, how much are we setting aside for travel? So that we know that we plan for it right. And then using technology, AI, data, the timing aspect that we spoke about, really maximize on the opportunity and the desire to travel.
And I think what you're touching on, because we travel is not some short-term thing if you're not that liquid and you don't have a lot of liquid.
Yeah.
And for many people, it is something they really have to work towards. So I'm glad you touched on the part of budgeting. And I think, and maybe you can share your experiences as well. I think for many people, it feels so inaccessible because it seems like this big amount, but there's so many people probably listening now who have never been on a plane before. There's so many people who have not left Gauteng. No, they've not even left Soweto.
Yeah.
So many people. What tips can you give to all of us in terms of how to do that planning? What helped me was opening a bank account specifically for my life experiences. The one where I'm like, okay, cool. This is not emergency. I can't touch this one or else I'm never going to travel. There'll always be something to pay for. And even if I just start with 100 rands, it's a start. Then I already know that savings pool is for this.
Absolutely. And I love that you say, even if I start with 100 rand. I think people often think they need to start with a large amount of money. So start where you are and start putting aside that little amount, which then builds up. I think also is to break down that trip into the different components, right? So oftentimes you'll look at the cost of the flight, the accommodation, the spending money, and kind of think this is quite sizable. But if you then say, this month I'm going to pay for my flights, and even in that, be really smart about the flights that you book. So, for example, weekends are always more expensive than weekday flights. So just being smart around when to book, how to book as well, can save you money. And then once you have, for example, paid for that flight, you can then say in a couple of months' time, I'll pay for my accommodation. And it really comes down to the first point that we spoke about around planning ahead, to give yourself a little bit more time. To then break that trip up into components. One of the other things that has really helped is research. Look around. There are always hacks or cheaper ways of doing things, offers, special deals. For example, Black Friday is coming. It's a great time to book travel. And we will have something exciting for our clients on Black Friday. So it is always looking out for deals as well. And there are always deals during periods such as Black Friday. And then I think rewards programs can give some amazing savings on travel. So I spoke about the Standard Bank Rewards Program, which is a U-Count program, amazing rewards program. And I spoke about some of the things that we have in that. But airlines have rewards programs. We spoke about Booking.com having a rewards program. So hotels also have rewards programs. So really understanding how they work, you can get some significant savings from those. So those are some of the things that have helped me. But really the planning is so important planning ahead as it relates to travel.
So what I do to keep my dreams alive is I regularly go on your booking.com
Mm-hmm.
and then I will say to myself, I really want to go to Japan because I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll start looking at accommodation. I'll just pick a random date and I'll favorite the ones I like. Just so we remember, we need to go.
Yeah.
You need to keep the dream alive.
Absolutely. And on that, another really, really helpful way to save money is once you've then clicked those hotels as favorites, it's notifications of when the price goes down. And it happens quite often, again, around those specials periods. So you would then know that the hotel price is reduced by 5,000 Rand, for example, and you would get an alert on your phone. You can do that with hotels. You can do that with flights as well. So that really helps. But again, only if you've planned ahead.
I have to ask now, we touched on the conversation around budgeting. And you might not have the answer for me. But if we were, you know how finance people will have you should be spending 30% on your living expenses, this percent on this and this percent on your future. Do we have a percent of how much needs to be going to travel? Because it can just guide to say, okay, if you're earning 10,000 and this is that pie chart, what percentage, if that is even there?
I wish I could give you a standard answer.
Yeah.
But it depends. It depends on your personal circumstances. It depends on your financial circumstances at that time. So there wouldn't be a blanket answer for everybody. But you would, of course, want to ensure that your main obligations are covered, debt is paid as it should be, and then create that extra capacity for that travel budget within that pie chart. What we can help you do is create that extra capacity by widening the part of the pie chart that is allocated to travel. And those are some of the things that I've spoken about how we reduce the cost of travel. So I wouldn't give you a standard answer. It really does depend. Of course, we encourage people to be responsible around how they spend. But what we can certainly help with is creating the capacity for you to travel within what you have.
Because you don't want to be, it can't be that now I'm in Japan and I come home and I can't even buy bread. And I can't even buy bread. I just thought about something when you were talking about the budget. And I think this applies to in general, but also particularly with travel. I have always been raised as an in-case person. Like my mom and my aunt, they love in-case. So I'm an overpacker. But one thing I've realized is when I chat to many people about the in-case monies when you travel, the conversation, not many people necessarily speak about it. So I want to touch on that because we know, particularly when you're far from home, anything can happen. And that's why I get quite confused sometimes when I see people stuck abroad as to, was there a contingency plan? Obviously, life happens.
It does.
But let's chat a little bit about the contingency line item of your travel budget.
So maybe let me speak about my personal experience to avoid that scenario where we're stuck somewhere now trying to get hold of people at home. So I think research is really important in terms of guiding you. I mean, there are a lot of websites that will tell you in this location, if you're a budget traveler, you would need this much per day. If you're a luxury traveler, this is the guide per day. I personally increase that by about 25 to 30%. So that there is a little bit of buffer in that, right? Rather than going for that exact amount, so that there is that in-case money. The travel insurance, again, becomes really important in case of a medical emergency, for example, or bags get lost. I think
it's my nightmare.
Yes,
my nightmare. Yes,
and it's not great when it happens.
Yeah,
it isn't a nice experience. So having that as well helps. I think also just making sure that there is a little bit of a buffer, even in a savings account somewhere that you can access in case something does happen whilst you're overseas or even locally, right? We always think it happens far away, but even locally it can happen. So those are the few things that have helped me. But to always, I think, overestimate rather than underestimate the amount of funds that you have. And if you've got money left over, great. But very few times, I suppose, mentally, because it's there, there's that pair of shoes, there's that something. But just having that in mind, that there is a little buffer in excess of what you think you might need. It really helps.
We've got a voice note on 072 702 1702.
Hey, for me, I love just making that travel decision last minute. Okay, maybe a week before I travel to say, look, I am deciding I don't find it fun to plan to travel 12 months ahead of time. That's so boring. By the time the trip comes, so much has changed. My desire to be at that place or visit that place, it's gone. So it ends up being more expensive, but I just love making that last minute decision and going in that moment. That makes more sense to me.
You are definitely a spontaneous traveler.
You can hear in his voice,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And I know of those people. I have an uncle he's based in Germany, but he's the type of person that will just decide, let's go to Cape Town like now, and then get in the car, throw things in the car and just
And off you go.
We'll see when we get there. What tips would you share for the spontaneous traveler, especially if they're a Standard Bank client?
So I think spontaneous traveler needs to, I suppose, from the sounds of the voice note, be quite meticulous then around having a pot available for traveling and planning for that, so that when that last minute urge comes, you then just dip into that available pot of funds. There are also a few really smart things that you can do. I mentioned around when you book. They do say that Tuesday flights, for example, it's often better to book on a Tuesday. There are certain periods of time that are often cheaper to book flights. I think also booking, avoiding weekends, like we spoke about, also does reduce the cost of travel. Rewards programs as well. If you're a spontaneous traveler, then you probably need to be part of a rewards program, which then does give you some sort of discount, even on those inflated prices. But even around specials, there are always specials around travel. So if you look around, you will often find specials. So the spontaneous traveler, I think, will tend to pay a little bit more than if you plan ahead. But there are things that they can do to reduce the cost of their travel.
Final thoughts on this conversation?
Final thoughts is, I think travel is really important as a form of wealth. It really does enrich you personally. It opens you up to a world which is sort of bigger than what you're used to. And I really love what you said around nobody can take those experiences away from you. But it can also be quite daunting for a lot of people. Where do I start? This large amount of money, I don't have it. What I will say is, given our intent to really help clients become wealthier, there are a number of things which we've spoken about that you can do to manage the cost of travel. It doesn't have to be as expensive as it seems. And where I'll end off is to say there's something very exciting on the way in the next few weeks for our clients at Standard Bank as it relates to travel.
Standardbank.co.za. We will be watching, we'll be looking out, and of course there's social media platforms from LinkedIn to your Facebooks, and we will be hearing, because I try to get the tea for us, but the tea is not being poured. Thank you so much for coming through and chatting to us about this. If anything, I think you've made quite a lot of us quite excited about preparing for nice little gifts and of adventure and travel. Now, the masterclass with me, Relebogile Mabotja, has been brought to you by Standard Bank Private on 702. We have been delving into the journeys of extraordinary individuals who are designing a wealthier life, making smart financial moves that build legacies, just like you can with the right partner. Because Standard Bank Private understands that success goes beyond numbers. It's about living a fuller, wealthier life with vision, purpose, and personalized support every step of your journey. Now, don't worry if you've missed out on any of the conversations, the masterclasses that we've been having all month. Head over to primemediaplus.com or download the app to catch up. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, The hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to We Buy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy prams that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. We Buy Cars. Geared for family, geared for you.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Relebogile is on X at Relebogile M.
Thank you so much for joining us on 702 Afternoons, primemediaplus.com, or download the app to catch up on conversations. John Perlman is coming up on 702 Drive. Stay around for that. And then, of course, Stephen Grootes, the real money show is happening, not the one that happened today. Thanks for joining us. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Julius Malema found to be evasive during his trial, and crime intelligence boss Dumsane Khumalo receiving medical care. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The East London Magistrates Court has found that EFF leader Julius Malema's attempts to avoid answering questions during his firearm discharge trial worked against him. Malema was found guilty of endangering people and property when he fired shots into the air at an EFF rally in Mdantsane.